Psych 100, General Psychology. This is Larry Hatcher. We are at Chapter 1, Module 1, Subfields of Psychology. You should have in front of you the blanked out lecture notes for this lecture. Your blanked out lecture notes will look similar to this document, except at certain places your terms will be blanked out, and in this lecture I'll show you what terms you need to fill in the blanks so you have a complete set of lecture notes. The blanked out lecture notes are available in Canvas modules. Log into Canvas, go to Psych 100, on the left side click Modules, find the module for today's class meeting, and among the pages in that module you'll find links that allow you to download this document. I recommend opening up the Word version of the document rather than PDF because the Word version is easy for you to edit, easy for you to add words to. Chapter 1, Module 1, Subfields of Psychology. Here's the outline of topics that I plan to cover. What is psychology? I'll give you a definition for it. In a normal semester, we would do a discussion exercise at that point. But given that we're meeting entirely online at this point, we'll skip this discussion exercise. We will do other discussion exercises once we get back into a normal format for our class meetings. Most of my lecture is going to deal with this. Should you major in psychology? Should you even go to college? I'm going to talk about the availability of good jobs for college grads versus high school grads. I'm going to talk about typical salaries for college graduates versus high school graduates. And what about psych majors? How much money do they make in general? I'm going to talk about going to graduate school in psychology. What kind of incomes are associated with going to graduate school? And what are the different subfields of psychology that you could consider if you're thinking about going to graduate school? Let's begin with a definition for the subject of this course. Subject of this course is psychology. Let's define it this way. Psychology is the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Anything that you can think of that involves behavior and mental processes, whether we're talking about humans or talking about non-human animals, that is psychology. That is the subject area of psychology. Some examples of some of the things that are studied by psychologists. Incentive plans. I think I mentioned in my intro to the semester that my degree is in industrial and organizational psychology. Early in my career, I studied incentive plans that are designed to improve productivity in work organizations. Studied a type of incentive plan that was successful, not only improving productivity, but it also improved product quality, even improved attitudes of people and their jobs, how satisfied they were with their jobs, how committed they were to the organizations. Those processes involve behavior and mental processes. That makes it an appropriate topic for psychologists to study. I want to convey just how broad the field of psychology is. I'm going to mention another topic that's appropriate psychologists, but very different from incentive plans, schizophrenia. Later in the semester, when we get to the unit where you learn about abnormal psychology, you'll learn about schizophrenia. You don't need to take notes on it now, but when we get to that unit, you're going to learn that schizophrenia is a very serious brain disorder that involves people having delusions, hallucinations. Psychologists investigate things like what causes schizophrenia? Is it caused by environmental circumstances? Are people genetically predisposed to develop schizophrenia? What kinds of treatments are effective in treating schizophrenia? There are medications that are effective in treating it, but do people do better if we supplement those medications with cognitive behavioral therapy? That's the kind of thing that psychologists study. It involves behavior and mental processes. And one additional topic, just to show how broad the field of psychology is, violence. Violence is a bad thing. What causes people to behave in violent ways? Is it true that if kids watch a lot of violence on television and in the movies, it causes them to behave more violent in real life? Is it true that if teenagers play a lot of violent video games, it causes them to behave more violent in real life? That involves behavior, that involves mental processes, that makes it an appropriate topic for psychologists to study. I go over these three topics just to convey that it's a big tent. There's a lot of things that psychologists study, just about anything you can think of that involves behavior, mental processes in humans or non-human animals, that is psychology. At this point in a normal semester, we do a small group discussion exercise to get you thinking about psychology and what kind of topics might be studied by psychologists. Given our current crazy pandemic circumstances, we're going to forego that discussion exercise this semester. We will have discussion exercises on other topics once we start meeting in a conventional way. At this point, I'm going to move a few pages forward. Let's go to page 6 in your lecture notes. Your blanked out lecture notes for the current unit. Let's skip forward several pages. I am on page 6. I am toward the top of page 6. By the way, on those pages I skipped over, there was no blanks to fill in, so you did not miss anything there. There will be blanks to fill in this section. We've moved to a new topic. Should you major in psychology? I'm going to talk about majoring in psychology. In fact, I'm going to go even broader than that, talk about just going to college in general, whether that's a good idea for most people. I'm going to present a lot of statistics. Most of the career-related stats that I'm going to go over are available at a website made available by the Georgetown University Center on Education and the Workforce. I'll abbreviate this as the CEW. In your blanked out lecture notes, there should be a link at this spot, and that should be a live link. If you right-click it, no, control-click it. If you control-click that link, it'll take you to the website. Now, you do not need to go to the website for purposes of this class, but I would encourage all of you watching this video to go there anyhow, because in addition to the research that I'm going to summarize in this lecture, there's all kinds of research about careers, going to college, college majors, that should be of interest to everybody in this class, people that are thinking about majoring in psych, and people that are not thinking about majoring in psych. This is what their website landing page looked like the last time I visited it. It is different from that today, or at least this is what it looked like when I made the screen capture. I checked it today and it looks a bit different, but the website is still there, still has tons of useful resources. Before we get to the business of majoring in psychology, let's step back and ask the broader question. Should you even go to college? You'll hear people question the value of a college degree, and there's validity to these claims. A college degree does not have the value today that it did 50 years ago. You still make more money by going to college than not going to college, but the value issue is impacted by the fact that students have to pay more to go to college these days. First thing that I want to do is talk about some of the research on going to college. Is it true that people that go to college make more money than people that don't go to college? Is it true that some majors make more money than other majors? Those are the kinds of things I want you to be thinking about. Should you go to college? My short answer to that is yes, as you might guess, given that I'm a college professor. I'm going to show some line graphs that illustrates graphically why going to college is a good idea for most people. This Center for Education and the Workforce, the CEW, defines a good job as one that pays at least $35,000 a year if you're under 45 years of age, and at least $45,000 a year if you're age 45 or older. Following figure illustrates the availability of good jobs. This is spanning the years 1992 through 2006. Illustrates the availability of good jobs for three groups of people. The high school pathway people, that is people that got just the high school diploma and did not go beyond that. Middle skills pathway, people that got a high school diploma plus some additional education and associate's degree, but didn't go as far as getting a 4-year bachelor's degree. Finally, the third group is going to be the BA pathway, people that got a 4-year bachelor's college degree. Our line graph. What does it say at the top? By the year 2000, the middle skills pathways surpassed the high school pathway in providing good jobs. We're going to focus on just two lines. We're going to focus on the blue line, which represents the BA pathway. This is people that get a college degree, a bachelor's degree in college. We're also going to focus on the gold line. That's the high school pathway. These are the folks that get just the high school diploma. What we're plotting on the y-axis is good jobs in millions, and on the x-axis we're plotting years. Now, first of all, let's focus on the blue line. Notice the number of good jobs that's available has steadily increased year by year as we track from 1992 to the last year that they have any statistics, which is around 2015, 2016, something like that. The raw number of good jobs for college graduates has gone up over that time period. What's happened to the availability of good jobs for people with just a high school diploma? That's the gold line. And you can see it starts off being kind of flat and then it starts going down. In raw numbers, fewer and fewer jobs available for people that only have a high school diploma. This is one piece of the puzzle in deciding whether it's a good idea for most people to go to college. Well, if you go to college, there's going to be more good jobs available to you compared to if you don't go to college. That's research outcome number 1 from the CEW. Let's go to page 9 on my lecture notes. Salaries for college versus high school graduates. The CEW analyzed data collected by the U.S. Census Bureau. They looked at median annual wages in constant 2013 dollars for workers aged 25 to 59. 25 to 59 is sort of mainstream working years for most people. Most of us are employed during the years from 25 to 59. Median is a measure of central tendency. It tells you how much money the typical individual made. If you ordered all the people from the person that made the least money to the person that made the highest money, the person that is smack dab in the middle is the person that earned median wages. What were the median wages earned by the typical college graduate? According to this investigation, college graduate getting a bachelor's degree, all majors combined, their median income was $61,000. What about high school graduates? For the same time period, median income for a high school graduate was $36,000. Now, that is a difference, $61,000 versus $36,000. That's a difference in median income at one point in time, but what about over the course of a lifetime? CEW estimates that over the course of a lifetime, it adds up. Typical college grad earns about $1 million more than a typical high school grad over the course of a lifetime. So if you look at salaries with all majors combined, then yeah, college graduates do make more money over the course of a lifetime, substantially more money. What about psych majors? Now, since this is a psych class, now by the way, CEW website that I am recommending to you provides data that gives you typical salaries for all kinds of majors. This being a psych class, I'm going to focus just on psychology majors. How much money do they make in general? Median annual salaries for individuals 25 to 59, that same age group, in constant 2013 dollars. If we looked at all bachelor's degree holders, all majors combined, that is, all college grads, no matter what your major is, median income $61,000 a year. For psych majors, median income $49,000 a year. So yeah, the typical psychology major makes less money on average compared to the typical college graduate with all majors combined. How could that be? Well, when we look at all majors combined, there are folks that major in things that make all kinds of money. In particular, it's the engineering bachelor's degrees that have high salaries. People that get a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering, electrical engineering, make tons of money. That brings this value up. When you look at psych majors, it's less, $49,000. Does that mean it's not worth going to college and getting a psych degree? Not necessarily. Let's compare that median for the psych majors against the median for high school grads. Median income for psych majors, $49,000 a year. Median income for high school grads, $36,000 a year. So yeah, going to college does help. It's better than just going to high school and just getting a high school diploma. Now, not everybody that that majors in psychology in college stops with the bachelor's degree. A substantial percentage of psych majors go on to graduate school. Does that pay off? Do you make more money if you get a master's degree in graduate school? Master's degree typically requires 2 years of graduate study. Does it pay off if you get a doctorate, a PhD, or a PsyD in psychology? PhD typically requires, on paper, 4 years of graduate study. In practice, it's usually more than that. But we will take a look at that topic next. What if I went to graduate school in psychology? Here, I'm not going to be looking at the CEW data. I've gone to another source, National Science Foundation's 2015 National Survey of College Graduates, the NSCG, nationally representative sample of about 130,000 psychologists that have doctorates. That is PhDs, PsyDs, EDDs. What kind of income do they make? Their median annual income was $85,000 a year. Now, compare that $85,000 a year to the people that just have the bachelor's degree. $49,000 a year for the bachelor's degree, $85,000 a year for those that get a doctorate. That's substantially more money. What you make is not evenly distributed. This is a figure that illustrates salary distribution in 2015 dollars. It shows the percent of people that are at different income brackets. The single most common bracket was people that somewhere between $60,000 to $80,000 a year. They constitute about 24% of the sample. There are people that make more money than that. But notice that it trails off. But it's what we call a positively skewed distribution. You have a long tail on the right end of the distribution, meaning that there's a small percentage of people that make even better incomes. Out here we see like 2% of the distribution was making between $300,000 a year and more than $300,000 a year. So yeah, we're going to see that for certain kind of psychologists, there is this long tail and really high incomes are possible. This brings us to a video. One of the things I like to do in this class is show my students videos that I find mostly on YouTube, sometimes in other locations, but mostly on YouTube. So I like YouTube videos because you can watch them on your own time outside of class, as long as you have an internet connection anywhere. We're going to watch a little 12-minute video titled Psychiatrist, Therapist, Social Worker, LCSW Psychologist, Who Should You See? This is a video that's made by a therapist named Katie Morton. She actually has a really good YouTube channel with all kinds of videos on various topics related to therapy. She is a family and marriage therapist, and she talks a lot on her channel about going into therapy, what you can expect when you're in therapy. That's very useful, but I like to show this video for a different purpose. Because she talks about some of the different degrees that you can get by going to graduate school in psychology, and the fact that different degrees require different years of study. Her name is Katie Morton. Overview of careers available to people that want to do therapy with clients. Anytime I show a video in class, I don't do it just to kill time. It's because there's some valuable information that I want you to be familiar with. And with just about every video that I show, there'll be 1 or 2 questions that'll pop up on your next multiple choice quiz based on that video. I do give you a heads up as to what to expect. Anytime I show a video, I'll always give you some possible questions ahead of time. You're likely to get 1 or 2 questions based on this video when you take your next multiple choice quiz. Those questions will be very similar or identical to these questions. Number 1, after she obtained her 4-year degree from Pepperdine University, how many years did Katie have to go to graduate school to become a licensed marriage and family therapist, which calls an LMFT? That's question 1. Look for the answer to that as you watch the video. She also talks about the types of professionals that can prescribe medication. Not just any kind of therapist can prescribe medication. Of these therapists, which is most likely to be able to prescribe medication? And she talks about therapists such as psychiatrist, therapist, social worker, etc., etc. Of this group, who is the most likely to be able to prescribe medication? Now, with my lecture notes, I typically fill in the blanks, but when I show a video, I usually will pose questions like this and not fill in the blanks. That's because I really do want you to watch the video and get the answers to the questions yourself. If you watch the video, you'll be ready to handle any question that'll pop up on my upcoming quiz. So the video is called Psychiatrist, Therapist, Social Worker, etc., etc. It's about 12 minutes in length. If you've got the blanked out lecture notes in front of you, and you should, control-click this link. It'll take you to YouTube. You can watch the video. As you watch it, jot down the answers to my questions. Now, this is a good place for me to end this portion of my current lecture. I've got more lecturing that I want to do on this topic. If you've looked at the blanked out lecture notes, you'll know that we're only about halfway through my blanked out lecture notes. So I've got more lecturing I want to do, but I'm going to stop at this point. Encourage you to control-click this video, watch Katie Morton's video, and after you have done so, turn to my next video in this video series, and I will pick up on page 11, page 12 of this document where I left off.